welcome back around, everyone, to the Sports Report here on LBTV. As always, I'm your host, Jake Griffith. We've got a lot of Lindenwood, Belleville sports to talk about. We've been off for a couple weeks, but we're finally back here on LBTV, and now I'd like to welcome in Matt Ankenbrandt, Lindenwood, Belleville Sports Information Director, and Lynx baseball analyst Merrick Sharp to the desk. Guys, how you doing today?
Good, thanks.
So we're going to talk about a little bit of baseball and softball to kick off the show, and we'll start with baseball. Lynx baseball, 13-21 on the season. They're 9-9 in conference, but they've lost 3 in a row. Merrick, we'll start with you. You broadcast the baseball games for the Link and LBTV. What do you see wrong with this baseball team right now?
Well, I think they have a lot of potential, but they just haven't been able to key on the success of some of that potential. They've played in a lot of close games, but it's either one side of the ball, the pitching hasn't been good that day, or they haven't been able to move runners around the field and get guys to come around to score. And I think like we saw last weekend, especially with William Woods, a good conference opponent coming in, they lost a 2-1 ball game in extra innings. They had a lot of opportunities, but they couldn't get the big hit, and that's kind of been the story of the season so far.
Now, Lynx are coming off a 15-6 loss yesterday at Freed-Hardeman. We'll get to that in a second. But, Matt, this team on the season, they're only hitting .245 as a unit. What can Coach Logan Johnson do to improve this hitting for this team?
You know, I think we've already seen it already with Coach Johnson. He's moved the lineup around a little bit. He moved guys up in the lineup, down in the lineup, tried to get something going, tried to create a solid lineup to go with for the rest of the season. And he really hasn't been able to find that yet. And touching on what Merrick said, too, is a couple guys will have really good games. They'll pick up 2 or 3 hits in a single game, but then the whole lineup won't be hot that game. We saw that yesterday against Freed-Hardeman. You know, Christian Cavanis finished 4 for 4, but you know the Lynx had 12 hits, 6 extra base hits, but they weren't able to score more than 6 runs.
Now, let's go ahead and get to that loss at Freed-Hardeman that you were just talking about. A.J. Sitko was on the hook for the loss. He played 4 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 6 earned runs, and threw 94 pitches in those 4 innings. This question is for both of you guys. We saw last season very strong rotation for the Lynx. It seems like this year it's a little down. They've already given up 17 home runs as a staff. What do you guys see as the biggest issue with this pitching rotation right now?
Well, it's hard to replace a guy like Joe Phelps, and he was a senior last year. He was a first-team All-American in the USCAA, and you know he was a leader of that staff. He came out in every game that he threw. You knew you were going to get a good performance. Now, luckily last year we also had good 2 and 3 guys, Mike Sabatino and Dylan Arvi, who are juniors and seniors this year that are back on the staff. They haven't been able to repeat that success that they had last season. And Mike Sabatino even had that first season with Lindenwood. And I think that's been a little bit of a disappointing part. The good part is that 2 young freshmen have kind of come in and done a decent job so far. Cody Calhoun and then A.J. Sitko, pardon me, he's a sophomore, but this is his first year on varsity. He's done a good job. If they can all go out there and give a consistent performance, I think they'll see a lot more success throughout the rest of the year.
Matt, do you feel like it's a confidence issue with some of these guys, some of these younger guys, maybe nerves are starting to get to them a little bit about being on this bigger stage?
I think some of the guys maybe it could be. I think some of the even upperclassmen maybe are pressing a little bit. You know, they last season were maybe their 5th, 6th guy in the lineup. Maybe they were trying to, you know, not being accountable as much as they are this year, and they're kind of pressing a little bit now in the situation where they're the top one, they're the top person that needs to be able to drive those runs in, be the table setter at the top of the lineup, and they're just not doing that right now. I think pitching-wise, they had a lot of injuries coming into the season. They lost a couple guys to injuries. A couple guys that were injured last year didn't come back fully healthy this year, and I think that's really hurt them as well, too. I think just the pitching depth in general has really hurt them. They don't have a lot of guys deep in that bullpen, and we see teams like a William Woods or like a Mobap. Those teams have 4 or 5 guys in the bullpen they can call on and bring them in, and we saw it yesterday in Freed-Hardeman. You know, they pitched 4 pitchers in that game, and those 2 through 4 guys are really good pitchers coming out of the bullpen.
Now, you talked about Christian Cavanis, really the lone bright spot yesterday for the Lynx. He went 4 for 4, 2 hits, and just a triple away from the cycle, as we were talking about before we went here. But you look at guys, Dylan Skinner 0 for 5, Zach Fortner, he had 1 strikeout. Dylan Arvi and Drew Fair both 0 for 3. It seems like this team's a very streaky team. In your guys' opinion, does this team this season have what it takes to make a run, kind of go deep in the postseason?
Well, I think, you know, with the conference the way it's setting up right now, last year Missouri Baptist dominated the conference. They ended up falling off a little bit late. William Woods won the conference tournament. I think this year there's a lot of parity at the top of the conference. I think anybody on any given day can beat each other. We've seen that already the last couple of weeks. And I think if this lineup can really develop, all the freshmen can come along, and, you know, the seniors, the juniors and seniors can really find their stride late in the season, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
I think absolutely they can, and like Matt alluded to, at the top of the conference, no one team really stands out. You know, there are some very good teams: Missouri Baptist, Freed-Hardeman, Lyon College, as well as William Woods. I mean, they're tough teams, But I think the Lynx, if their pitching come around the second half, they can have some more consistent at-bats. They have some guys that have an opportunity to step up. I think a guy like Hayden Stevens, who was off for baseball of a year, and now he's back playing for the first time. I think he could start to come around and do a really good job for the team, and that would be a huge lift for them in the back half of the season. But like Matt said, they can compete with anybody.
Lynx will take on Murray State, the Racers, today. Now let's go ahead and switch gears here to softball. Softball sits 17-17 on the season. They are 10-4 in conference, and they've won 2 in a row. They're 9-3 at home. Merrick, you've called a great number of softball games this season. What have you seen from Charlie Kennedy's squad?
Well, it's been a little different than I thought it was going to be. They have a lot of veterans on the roster, so I thought that the transition to conference for them would be fairly easy. And they have done very well in the conference. But I think they've just been very inconsistent off the top. And kind of what it has been with baseball, the lineup has been shuffled around a whole ton. I think 2 of the people that were at the top of the lineup to start, Kaylin Stewart and Nicole Miskowitz, they got shuffled down to the bottom. Now they're back at the top. They're just trying to find that right group to click. And I think they may have found it. They played very good offensively against William Woods on Monday. So hopefully if that can start to come around, they do have some frontline starting pitching in Michelle Pilster and Taylor Wynn. If they can continue to pitch the way they can, then I think they could make a deep run in the conference tournament.
They beat William Woods 9-1 in 6 innings this past Tuesday. But overall, Matt, we know this team, this softball team as a program, they've enjoyed a lot of success under Charlie Kennedy, a couple USCA national championships under their belt. This season coming into the NAIA, it's a different kind of task. It's a different level of competition. Similar to what we asked with the baseball team, does this softball team have what it takes to make a deep run and possibly win a national championship?
I think they have a really good chance at least, competing for a conference championship and then making some noise in the NAIA National Championship. I think with what Merrick talked about, the 2 starting pitchers they have are 2 of the better ones in the conference. And I think those 2, when they go out there, they give you the best chance to win against any team in the conference. I think this week's going to be a tough one. They play Missouri Baptist tonight, who is just above them in the conference, and they played Freed-Hardeman, who is second in the conference currently. So it's going to be a very tough week for them. But as we saw on Monday night and as we even saw Friday and last Saturday, some of the players, those veterans that started off very slow this season, are really starting to come along. Jamie Navarro, she had a 3-run home run and a grand slam in Monday's second game of the doubleheader. She was a hitter that was kind of in and out of the lineup early in the season, but she's really caught her stride as of late. So if they can keep getting those veteran players that have gotten a lot of innings in the last couple seasons to really come along, they're going to be a very tough team to beat top 1 through 9.
Now, Merrick, Matt referenced the games upcoming for the softball team this week. You being as close as you are to the softball team, this one will go to you. What are we looking for the Lynx against MoBap and then against Freed-Hardeman this coming week?
Well, conference games, you got to pick up wins, and I think they have a real opportunity to do that. They came off a tough stretch in Oklahoma this last week, and coming into Monday against William Woods, they played a whole lot of games, and they came out and played 2 fantastic games, got 2 wins in the doubleheader. Now you've had a day off, and now you come in today playing against a team that's just above you in the conference, Missouri Baptist. I think you got to expect the same type of effort you got on Monday against William Woods. You can hopefully that lineup stays consistent, the pitching the way it is. Hopefully they come out and give you a chance to win, and that's really all you can ask from your team, and I think they have a good shot to do that.
All right, thanks guys for joining us. We'll take a quick commercial break, and when we return on the Sports Report, we will have Coach Dan Hogan at the desk of the men's soccer team to talk about the upcoming soccer season. Stay tuned. This is the Sports Report on LBTV.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
And welcome back, everyone. This time I'd like to welcome in Coach Dan Hogan to the desk. And Coach Hogan, thanks for joining us back here on LBT.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, it sure is. We love having you talk about soccer. And, you guys are coming off a trip to the NAIA National Tournament for soccer. You guys won conference last season in your first year in the American Midwest Conference. Obviously, 2 huge accomplishments, but you have your sights set on bigger goals this season. What can we expect from your soccer team next season?
I think the boys are very competitive, and I think since after we got beat, they were already thinking about the going back to the national championship and winning it this time, and that attitude has played through this entire spring. The practices have been great. We have some spring games coming up. I'm interested to see how we're going to be without the seniors that we lost.
Now, as far as those spring games, before we get to any more questions, what are the dates on those spring games, maybe for fans to come out and check it out?
We have a 4-team little round-robin tournament Saturday starting at noon. We play at 12 and 3:15. UMSL, Maryville, and William Woods are all coming in, and we'll play like a 60-minute match, 2 of those. And then next Saturday at 1 o'clock, it's Missouri S&T. And then on the 25th, we're at an 8-team tournament in Greenville.
Okay, so definitely a great way to get exposure as well as some preseason practice for your team. Now, you guys did lose 5 seniors, a pretty crucial part of your team last year, but you returned a bunch of guys, most notably in the goalkeeper section, Nicholas Nicolacci. What are we looking for from Nicholas? How has he improved his game? Which it's hard to do after the season he had last year, but how have you seen him improve his game coming into next year?
He's a competitor too. He doesn't like giving up goals, whether it's indoor, outdoor, just in training. He doesn't like to give up the goals, and that's definitely his strength, and I expect him to have a great season next year. With that number of 5 seniors, the interesting number in that is that there's 30 goals lost between those 5 players. So we're trying to find 30 goals somewhere. And whether it's recruits coming in or the current players that we have, we need to find those goals.
Now, you did talk about the recruits coming in. What type of recruits are you guys bringing in for this season, and how do you feel like they will make it? How big of an impact do you feel like they will have?
We're probably looking for a player at each position, just in case we have an injury or somebody doesn't return. But we're looking for players who I would think that are going to be starters for us for the most part. And we've filled some of those places, and we're still actively recruiting.
Now, you guys were very good on the defensive side of things. We talked about the goalkeeping, but just on defense, just in general, you guys were one of the best teams in the country at playing defense. Do you see that still being sort of like your calling card this coming season?
Yeah, our goalkeepers are back. The back 4 or 5, they're back. 3 of our 4 midfielders are back. And those guys, we played a little bit last night, and it took them about 25 minutes to get things sorted out. And they're used to playing with each other, and I think that's going to be one of our biggest strengths is the experience of the returning group.
Well, I can definitely tell you that I am extremely excited for this upcoming soccer season. Coming off the season that you guys had last year, so I can't put into words how excited I am getting a chance to broadcast your games. Thank you for joining us here at the desk, Coach Hogan.
Thank you.
Looking forward to soccer season this coming season. That's all we have today here for the Sports Report. For everyone here at LBTV, I'm Jake Griffith signing off. Until next time, everyone.